April, good to see you. This video is for anyone who is under 59 and a half and considering a Roth conversion. We're going to tell you how to avoid a 10% penalty. If you're under 59 and a half, Roth conversions can still be a very powerful tax strategy, but only if you handle that tax bill correctly. If not, you could trigger that penalty. So why is paying the conversion taxes with outside after-tax money so important if you're under 59 and a half?
Often what we see people do is mistakenly take a distribution to cover the taxes on a Roth conversion. And in a technical sense, per the IRS, that is a distribution without an early withdrawal exception, and you will be subject to that 10% penalty. So there's a little bit of a gotcha there. I think often people don't expect that because if they're not taking receipt of those funds, they don't think of it as a distribution.
Right.
So it can really catch people off guard.
Yeah, and that is my next question. Why do you think this catches so many people off guard?
Well, I think, if you're thinking about a distribution, then for most people, that means money that came to me, money that hit my bank account, money that I touched in some way that I actually had receipt of. But in a technical sense, if you're taking a distribution to pay taxes, even though it's not going to you, it's going to the government, then you're going to trigger that 10% early withdrawal penalty. And the best way to handle that is to make sure that you have a very good calculation done by a qualified tax professional to know within a pretty good margin. It's going to be an estimate, but to know within a pretty good margin where you're going to fall on the taxes owed for that conversion, and make sure you've weighed the pros and cons of it. Make sure that you have enough built up in your emergency or other post-tax reserves to pay that without impeding your overall long-term plan.
Right. So walk me through that math then, please, April. How do you help younger clients determine if a Roth conversion makes sense for them?
The first step is education. I find that a lot of times people are quite confused on the difference between contributions and conversions and what the rules are. There are so many different rules for both. A lot of those are age-based, some of those are income-based. So there kind of seems to be a moving target, and it's confusing for a lot of people. So the most important first step is assessing what options are available. Do you have the ability to contribute, for example, to a Roth 401k? Are you income eligible and otherwise to contribute to a Roth IRA, both for you and for your spouse? One of my favorite little caveats of the tax code is that even if your spouse doesn't have earned income, you can contribute to a Roth 401k for them if you meet all of the other income requirements and so forth. So there are a lot of boxes to check there where perhaps you can start putting money into that putting money into that tax-free bucket for the future without having to foot a large tax bill now to convert bigger chunks. And that can be very impactful for people who are in their higher income earning years, which presumably if you're in your 40s and 50s, you're likely going to be in some of your higher income earning years. So the philosophy is paying some of the taxes up front so that you don't have to pay those taxes again in the future. And a lot of times what we see is that people fall into just kind of a standard default, if you will, of contributing as much as they can to their 401k, not just getting a match if applicable, but contributing as much as they can, maybe up to the max. And that's all that they do, or that's all that they're doing for their primary strategy anyway. And there's not a lot of foresight and planning into the tax diversification that is really important, quite frankly, if we want to make sure that we have a retirement that's going to be sustainable. Because if we put everything into a category that's going to be taxed later, we're not diversifying into pre-tax and post-tax, and tax-free is ultimately the goal where we can achieve it, then we're leaving some things up to chance, like the tax code. And we're in a historically low tax climate right now, but that doesn't mean we're going to stay here. So making sure that we've assessed what those options are, and really weigh the pros and cons of each of those, and do some illustrations to see what that looks like long term, making sure that we're taking advantage of what we can control now.
Right, exactly. And you just touched on this, but it definitely warrants a deeper dive. I think a lot of people are aware that we are living in a historically low tax rate right now, which is, of course, one reason everybody's talking about Roth conversions. But why is a Roth conversion? It's so hot right now. Why is everybody talking about it, April?
Taxes have been in the headlines a lot, of course, coming off of election years and that sort of thing. It's always one of the hot topics. Right now, we think we know anyway that taxes are going to be about where they are through 2028, but taxes are historically low. It never feels like we're not paying very much in taxes, but if we look back, if we're really paying attention to history, taxes are very low right now from a historical perspective. So I think people are starting to really realize where we are historically when it comes to our income tax brackets and realize that there's an opportunity here while we know where taxes are likely to be through 2028 to really, again, take control of what we can control. We like to look at strategies to maximize your current income tax bracket and really put you in a position in the future where you have some tax-free sources, because you have to have less money saved if you don't have to pay taxes on all of it when you take it out. You don't have to take required minimum distributions that you might not want to take if you have money that is in a Roth IRA. So a lot of advantages to that long-term thinking and starting to implement some of those strategies as soon as possible.
Now, this should be required viewing. April, I wish you were around in my life 20 years ago. I could be much more tax efficient right now. But anyway, this was very helpful. And again, I think it answers a lot of questions for people who want to know why Roth conversions can be such a powerful tax strategy, but of course, how to avoid those pitfalls. So if somebody wants to crunch the numbers with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can call either of our office anytime, of course, or you are more than welcome to visit us at theretirementfamily.com, submit a contact us form, and we're happy to reach out to you and see how we might be able to help.
Great. April, thank you so much.
Thank you, Erin.